What is good, everyone, and welcome back to the Nostalgia Plus Ultra podcast. My name is Taylor, aka Nostalgia. Joining me is As Told by Zoe. What's good, my guy?
What's up?
Kayla's everything is not with us today, which does suck, considering the movie we're gonna watch. We're gonna talk about today. This is the continuation of Miyazaki Magic. This is part three. This is part 3 of Miyazaki Magic, and today we were talking about Howl's Moving Castle. This is a movie that we watched a couple weeks ago.
I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, and then the reasoning we had a week because I got sick. Then we had Easter, and then we came back and it was like, okay, well,
damn,
Sinners
this was
just came
3
out.
weeks ago. Then
It was 3 weeks ago.
Damn.
But I mean, I got sick, Easter, and then we just had to talk about Sinners. There was no way we were going to be able to talk about Sinners and Howl's Moving Castle together in an episode. I felt like that they needed to be two separate ones. One to kind of keep up with the Miyazaki Magic 10-part series, and also because Sinners is such a good fucking movie. It's just but yeah, so Kayla is not with us today for this episode, which hurts because Howl's Moving Castle, I think, is the one that she really, really, really wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
and I feel really bad.
She's supporting a friend. It's her birthday.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. You can't just. Yeah, that's way more important than what we got over here. Not gonna lie. But what I'll do probably is our next episode, I'll let Kayla get her shit off about Howl, and then we'll just call it even.
Sure.
Okay, so with how these episodes usually go structure wise, I definitely want to get your initial thoughts, Zoe, about the movie, even though it's not necessarily fresh in my mind or yours. I think it was 3 weeks ago, but as far as your initial thoughts after finishing the movie, what did you kind of think without getting really too deep into stuff?
Yeah, this is one of the big 3, I would say, from Miyazaki. Had never seen it, was pleasantly surprised. I think it's one of my favorite settings that Miyazaki's ever done. I really like. It's got the mix of the steampunkiness from Castle in the Sky with the airships and stuff like that, but it's a little bit more grand. When they go to the capital city, everything looks so pretty and colorful, but they're riding in the cars with the steam. It's an interesting setting. It's also interesting to me that this is based on a book.
Yeah,
most of his stuff isn't. At least I don't think it is. So to have and it's not a Japanese book either. It's a Western book.
Yeah, by Diana Wynne Jones. I wrote it down.
So to have something so something so fantasy and rooted in European / American fantasy, for him to put his spin on it is really fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, this is, I guess, like you said, it's the big 3 of Miyazaki movies, and I think this is where you start to really get into the whimsy and the mystical kind of aspect that I think the general audience that likes Studio Ghibli movies is comes to know. Where they when they think about Studio Ghibli movies, they think about the whimsical, spiritual, mystical types of movies that kind of just have a bunch of crazy shit going on, and where the world building feels like very vast, kind of goofy in some ways, but just very, very like big and bombastic. So as far as my initial thoughts on it is, like, I love the way in which the story kind of just progresses without really, not necessarily getting too deep in the weeds on stuff, but just kind of just like showing you without telling you what's happening. I guess they do a lot of that. Miyazaki does that in his movies in general, but I feel like this movie specifically does a really interesting job of just kind of like just being like, hey, this is what's happening, and you kind of either kind of come to your own interpretations about things, or you kind of start to understand and are told through just the movie progressing, rather than like a character being like, this is X, Y, and Z, and this is ABC, and this is how you do this. Like when it comes to Howl's, like the actual castle that Howl walks in, right? And how they have that lever that kind of like transports him to a different time and place every single time. Yeah. Depending on what lever he pulls or whatever. And while, what is his name? The little flame guy. What is his name?
Calcifer.
And while Calcifer kind of explains it a little bit, and like kind of like he explains a little bit of the function of the castle, he doesn't really get too deep in the weeds where it's like he tells you exactly what it is. It's just kind of like up to the movie, up to you just kind of watching the movie to kind of understand it, I guess. And even like, not to get too deep into things, but like even something as simple as the whole reason why the war is being fought in general, like you kind of just know that these opposing sides are fighting, and then you don't figure that out until you don't figure out like exactly why they're fighting until the end. And even then they don't really say it outright, like, we are fighting because of this, you know what I'm saying? Well, they kind of do, but not really. And so that's one thing I thought was great. And then obviously the characters are fantastic.
Yes,
I think definitely a big part of the draw of the movie is the characters, for sure.
What I find interesting is I think the characters are done so well. I'm not a huge fan of how the story's told. I think for someone where his plots, his stories are kind of straightforward, not like simple, but straightforward in the sense where it's like, okay, you know what's going on, and you know that everyone is doing whatever they're doing on screen because of this. Even Princess Mononoke, where like he's supposed to be getting a cure for his curse, but it looks like he gets sidetracked by this, but everything is still for the curse on his arm. This one, I don't know. She gets cursed by the Witch of the Waste. She turns old.
Yes.
And I get the point of another point of the movie is like freedom in age, like getting old isn't a bad thing.
Yes.
But I feel like they forget why she's there. You know, not everything she does in this movie feels so intentional.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
what do you mean?
Like, okay, so the castle finds her. She goes in, talks to Calcifer, and then they make this deal where it's like, I forgot what it was, but essentially where it's like, if I can help you with your thing, will you turn me back into my original age?
Yes,
that's the deal she makes with Calcifer. Then it just feels like she gets so used to living with Howl and Calcifer and the little boy, I forgot the little boy's name, where she just was like, okay, I'm here now. I don't really care to turn back. I'm okay.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, but I think that might have been maybe the message they're trying to get across, I guess.
It could be intentional, because like I said, there is a lot of, yes, there is freedom in age, and you don't have to be scared of getting old and all that, and blah, 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 and blee, 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 and, you know.
Because, like, Sophie, the main girl is, you know, she kind of, when you first introduced her, she kind of floats through life and just kind of doesn't really have much of a purpose, kind of wasting her time or like wasting her youth, I guess, in a lot of senses. And so when she kind of, you know, starts to really get into being in that castle with Hal and Calcifer, and Markle is the little boy's name.
Markle.
And start getting into like a pseudo found family type of situation. And in her, I guess, old age or cursed old age, she starts to kind of regain that, yearn for life, I guess, or like yearn for like living and doing what you like to do.
Sure.
So I guess that might be, I do see what you mean though, because there's certain things that she kind of does, or certain, not plot points per se, but just certain actions that she wants to take that never really show themselves because she gets sidetracked by something else, or like Howl's predicament takes precedent over what she has going on.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes a situation where Howl then becomes the main character. Like, it's not really a Sophie situation. Like, by like the midway part of the movie, like Sophie's not the main character. Like, for as much as we really like to we boil it down and like we're with her a majority of the time in the movie, like at the midway point, it's really just like, how do we save Howl? That's really the rest of, like, and how does Howl like finish out his character arc? You know what I'm saying?
And saying all this doesn't make me dislike this movie. Like I said, I still really do like this movie. And there is something to be said where it's like, yes, I don't necessarily like that, you know, it becomes a Howl movie instead of the... Here's the thing. If that was the main point of the movie, I would like it. I just don't... I don't like saying that I don't like it. I do like the movie, and I do like most things about it. It just felt weird that, you know, she has this whole thing, but she has to go save... Well, you know, Miyazaki, being the feminist that he is, maybe that's just another where it's like, oh, here comes the girl, and she has to fix this man-child's problem.
Oh my god, dude, I'm sorry.
Oh, are we gonna get into it?
Yes, because Kayla, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. We have to get into a straight male's perspective of Howl. Let's just get into a straight male's perspective of Howl in Howl's Moving Castle. Bro, I'll lead with this, okay? He is a really good example of like a tragic hero in a lot of ways, where he has these very glaring character flaws about him, and this very, not cliche is not the word I want to use, but it's the only one I can think of right now, where he has this type of affliction or ailment that is weighing him down, essentially, that could either be used like a metaphor, motif, or be in like the literal sense, like he's weighed down by something. And it's the fact that he's a wizard, and a lot of the wizards that are fighting in this war have turned themselves into monsters that are like unrecognizable, and he doesn't want to do that. Like, he doesn't want to be in a situation where he has to turn into a monster for the sake of like this meaningless fight that he's partaking in, right? So he's a very tragic hero in a lot of those, in that aspect. But for the life of me, it was kind of hard in some ways to, was it sympathize or empathize? I don't know which one I want to talk about. I don't know which one I want to use.
I guess sympathize, because
I guess sympathize.
It's not, you've never been a wizard that's going to turn himself into a bird monster, you know?
Yeah, so sympathize. It's hard to sympathize with him when he's a literal man-child.
Yeah, bro. I get it to an extent. He's a very good-looking, you know, when you first see him, his posture is really straight. And again, I like the setting and the aesthetic of this movie. It's kind of like fantasy circus-esque. So he's got like the cape with the shoulder pads, and he's very colorful, and the tight pants. And being voiced by a young Christian Bale. That always helps.
Yep.
Again, very smooth in some of the things that he does. But he's that meme where it's like, damn, bitch, you live like this?
Dog.
Here's the thing because I talked to Kayla about it when we played D&D, and I told my friends, I saw Howl's Moving Castle for the first time. And she gets into like, oh, he's so hot. And I'm like, Kayla, the house, the castle, the titular castle is covered in bird shit. Who's the bird? Exactly. He's shitting all over his home. And who has to clean it? The girl.
Oh my god. That didn't even register just now. It's so funny.
Dude, the castle is covered in bird shit.
That's so funny. Oh my god. I wasn't even talking about that specifically. I'm talking about just his room. When Sophie walks into the castle in the first place, and like Markle is trying to find utensils to cook, and he's just throwing shit around the room because he can't find anything. No, was it that, or was he looking for actual food? Because
I think he was looking for both.
Because that's gross.
He was like, "Oh, where's breakfast?"
Disgusting. Right, like where's breakfast? We looked through the pile of clothes and pots and pans to find a slab of meat or something. Like, that's insane.
And it's like, you know, stories like this, fantasy stories, you never want to be a buzzkill, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy where it's like, oh, I'm watching Snow White, and why does the prince have to save the princess? You know, it's
yeah.
I get it to an extent, but at the same time, it's like he's too much of a man-child.
Yeah,
for me to overlook this romance plot that you're building out.
Yes, and so like and the biggest, one of the funnier parts, and one that made me roll my eyes low key, is the part where she either insults him or like makes like some kind of joke or says something to him, and instead of him just like being like, okay, you're right, fine, no big deal, he like uses magic to throw a temper tantrum and turn himself into goop.
Oh, okay. See, no. I was gonna say sometimes it's used for comedic effect, and I do think she cleans the house and she misplaces his like his blonde shampoo.
Yes.
So then it turns his hair black.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like that's funny.
Yes.
Because he's like, I can't be beautiful. Like, that's funny. But like the whole thing what made me roll my eyes was he was like, I'm being summoned to the capital because they want me to fight. Why don't you go as my mother and do it for me? Like, I was like,
excuse me, bro?
I was like, come on. And then he redeems himself. Here's the thing. I don't dislike Howl as a character.
No, I don't. I do like Howl.
I don't necessarily like him that much. Because like I said, he does that, but then he comes and saves the day.
Yes.
He redeems himself. And it's a very cool sequence.
For sure.
And then there's the part where I guess the whole point of the movie, actually there's a lot of points to this movie. But a big one for him is basically he needs therapy.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of get into like major themes like as like a segue, but like there are three big, I think, overall like human condition themes in this. One of them is the joys of growing old and being old, and like accepting the fact that you will be old at some point. Mm-hmm. There's the concept of beauty standards and what it means to be a beautiful person. Mm-hmm. And then there's the like not initiative, but like not running away from things. Yeah. And I think that that's like a big thing. 'Cause, I mean, they try to make it, I mean, they frame it as like a romantic, like, don't run away from like love in some instances. But then they kind of when with Howl's like character arc, they change it into where it's like, don't just run away from your problems.
Yeah,
it's not even that. It's like, don't run away from your problems. And he has a really bad habit of just running away from stuff. Like even before he really like gets into the big part of the war, he has 4 different personalities. He has 4 different people that he's impersonating as. Like he has 4 different kingdoms, and all 4 of those kingdoms are asking him to fight in this war.
And he has a different name in all of them.
A different name in all of them, and he has to meet with each monarch and be like, oh yeah, I can be a part of the, I can sign this decree, and like you can use my services to be in this war. But it's like, the problem is he doesn't have an issue with, he can't say no in this. I mean, it's weird. Like it's not like he can't say no. He's just like dodging the responsibility until it becomes too much of a issue, and now he has to do everything at one time. I think like him standing up to I forgot the queen's name. I forgot her name.
Oh, I forgot. But yeah,
it was him standing up to the queen and being like, no, I'm not going to fight in this dumb war, and then ended up saving Sophie and like being able and fighting off those invaders to like make sure she's safe was a big growth moment for him, and it's like encapsulates that. But going back to the other 2, Sophie getting old and like understanding that, you know, being old is not a bad thing, and then the like beauty standards and what it means to be beautiful. And I think the beauty standard ones are pretty cut and dry. It's pretty easy to spot, because of the Witch of the Waste, essentially. So
but there's also that plot point of like, she was talking to Howl and she's like, oh, I've never been beautiful, like I've never, and then she finds love as an old lady, which is like that thing where I've seen a lot of women speak about like, we got to be nicer to older ladies, and I think everyone would feel beautiful if we talk this way. And again, Miyazaki, for someone who is so, he's such a hard ass. Like if you see any interview he's in, any video, he is a hard ass. For someone like that, he has such nice ways of showing like his beliefs. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think that this guy is thinking about not only the unfair beauty standards of women, but the unfair beauty standards of older women.
I mean, it shows up and then it shows up with like the interactions with the Witch of the Waste. And I think that her character is interesting, because she's so overly insecure about how she looks. And it wasn't even a situation where Howl didn't explicitly say she was ugly.
Yeah.
Did he? No, he didn't say that, right?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
He just kind of like, she fell in love with him, and he once again avoided responsibility and
ran away.
He wasn't interested, and ran away. And so I think she just automatically assumed that he ran away because she wasn't pretty enough. And so then any woman that he tries to like get involved with, i.e. Sophie at the beginning of the movie, they instantly get on her hit list. And then you can kind of see by the end of the movie, she kind of like has her real self come out with like her losing some of her magical abilities and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of feel bad for her.
Yeah.
In some ways, because it's like, it was a lot of misplaced anger, a lot of misplaced insecurity. And it's just like, if you just kind of love yourself, you'll be fine. But I will say, she did piss me off at the end of that movie though.
When she was acting senile?
Not even that, bro. When Howl's heart like was about to return, and she's like, I've been looking for that this whole time. I'm like, ma'am, are you fucking I was like, we have 15 minutes left of this movie. Just let him get his heart back, bro.
Yeah.
yeah, like the standards of like of beauty and the unfair beauty standards placed on not even just women in general, but like older women, is pretty cut and dry with like his use of the Witch of the Waste. And then we kind of touched on it earlier with Sophie kind of accepting the found family role, of like the maternal like maid and mother of stuff like to Markle and stuff like that, and finding that joy in being alive at an older age.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's like a big thing. That's one thing that I definitely like took from this movie, because like I have like an existential crisis every like 2 or 3 weeks about getting older.
Yeah.
And so, and honestly too, since I work at a school with a bunch of 10-year-olds and I just get to I see them like run around and stuff, like it makes me feel way older than what I actually am. And so watching this movie and seeing Sophie become old and like making old woman jokes like, like I still got it, or these old bones can still move. It's like some shit like that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, it reminds me a lot of my grandmother and my grandfather, who are the ones that are still alive. And they kind of like the way they move and the way they talk about getting old and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Yeah. One line that sticks out, I think she like tries to jump, or she tries to like jog a little bit, and she goes, I've become stiff in my old age.
It's like, you realistically, your soul is not that age. Like you're still, like you just look that age. Yeah. That's really all it is. But yeah, stepping back a little bit, as far as like major themes externally, and once again, Miyazaki, environmentalist. I think it's cool, having watched 3 of these so far. It's cool how he has this commentary on environmentalism and saving the planet in like 2 separate ways. How he shows it in just the beautiful landscapes of the worlds he's built with these movies. Like when Howl has that one door that he's able to open, and it's this big, huge, vast field of flowers that he made with magic, and how they look really beautiful, and how he's been tending to them and preserving them for so long, right? And then which is juxtaposed by those warships flying overhead and like actively being involved in this war that's tearing apart the beautiful landscape that we just saw. So he does it in a way of like showing beautiful landscapes, and then having like something come in and kind of wreck that beautiful scenery. And so I think like, he's always going to have, I think every movie that we watch for the rest of the time is probably going to have that same message where it's like, ruining the environment is bad.
But another theme that this one had, when I was doing research, was okay, so I don't know if you saw my Letterboxd review, but earlier the week that I saw Howl's Moving Castle, I saw the movie Warfare. It's a new movie. The director is an Iraq war veteran. We're not gonna get into the politics of that, but I would say if you like movies, give it a chance. I understand it's a war movie. I would say it's very much horrific. It's not really glorifying this atrocious war that we were put into by our president at that time. But besides that, it's funny how that movie and this movie are connected by the Iraq War. I put in my review, if I had a nickel for every movie I saw today that was inspired by the U.S. invasion of Iraq, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Miyazaki, the reason why Howl is so against war, like so outspoken against war, is because Miyazaki did not like the fact that the US, I don't want to say we were children at the time.
Yeah.
That the US invaded Iraq and said, I'm going to make a movie so anti-war. I'm going to make a movie that Americans hate. He was so upset.
Yeah.
That he set out to make a movie that America hated. It's hard to do that when you're Miyazaki, brother. All your shit's good.
Yeah. But when you bring it up, it's easy to see what he was going with, because there's a TikTok creator that I follow. I don't know I remember his name. Let me see if I can find it, because I saved this TikTok he made when he was doing some kind of commentary on House Moving Castle. Stephen Notham is his name. Stephen Notham. He basically talked about the themes of imperialism and the anti-war sentiment in this movie specifically, and how in other Miyazaki movies, the sentiments of war, you only really see them from just like the military standpoint, where obviously since they're in the military or they're in this like wartime setting, that they're going to be more inclined to be actively like positive about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're in it. Like they're the generals, they're the soldiers, they're the commanders, they're all that kind of stuff, right? In this movie specifically, you don't see any of those commanders, generals, soldiers, or you see them in the beginning, but I'll get to that in a second. You see what this guy Steven was talking about is basically like, you see the overly positive sentiments of the citizens and their approach and mindset when it comes to going to war, and what and how I think not necessarily propaganda, but just like how citizens can be really, really overly positive about imperialism without really like understanding the full scope of what the army is doing. Because
it's a lot of people, I think, just kind of like, well, it's not happening here. So it's not happening here, and we're the good guys, obviously. I'm just kind of paraphrasing how it felt to be a child during the Iraq War, where it was like, well, they attacked us first, so and you're not going to war, so it's like, what are you talking about it for? Like, it's just, I mean, it's funny how he wanted to make a movie that Americans hated, being an American that lived through that time period. It's funny now thinking about it, like, you know, connecting the dots.
And so, like, I mean, obviously there's no situation, at least from my memory, where there was a commentary on like the people from the other side making an attack on that specific team, that specific land's like Capitol building or something like that. Like I don't remember that from memory, if that was mentioned or not. But I think because the big whole overarching thing as far as why they're fighting this war is that the prince, who is Onion Head Man or whatever his name was, the onion-headed like scarecrow, was missing. But in actuality, he was just like cursed, and so he was just kind of roaming around trying to find somebody to break the curse for him. And the reason why these countries were warring is because he was missing. And so, but as far as like the citizens and like their approach to war, it reminds me a lot, not necessarily more like Iraqi war. It reminds me more of like World War I and World War II sentiments, like with like seeing the party ships go, seeing like the battleships go off the harbor, like the parties when the soldiers are coming back home, like the overly heightened patriotism towards their country and the people fighting for their country, but not necessarily understanding the scope of like the damage it's doing to the rest of the world around them.
It's interesting. I remember the first thing I thought was when the soldiers are coming home in the beginning. They're not happy. The soldiers. They seem very
exhausted.
Yes, they don't really dive into it because it's not their movie, but they seem sad and tired and just like, holy shit, like that.
Yeah, like they're like more relieved to be back home instead of like happy to be returning. And then you get like the first I saw, and something like when it comes to the guy Steven, when he was talking about it, he was just like the soldiers when they come back and like they're lauded as heroes and these big like celebrities, and the first antagonist that Sophie encounters in the movie is not the Witch of the Waste. It is an Imperial soldier, and so who like, you know, essentially like sexually harasses her. And so like it's just basically just talking about just the guy. He did a good like little commentary on it, basically just the entirety of like how Miyazaki approached the anti-imperialism, anti-war sentiment that he usually has in a lot of his movies, but he does it this time from the sake of like the citizens and their approach and their overly positive patriotism. And he talked about like how colorful and how like bright and vibrant the citizens are, and like the parades and stuff like that, and like the celebrations of these soldiers, which basically contrasts some of the other movies he's done that have war sentiments in them, because it's a lot of dark colors for the war, for the military people in other movies. It's like a lot of darker colors, a lot of gloomy looks, a lot of angry looks. A lot of the colors are even like darker or muted, and like the way in which they depict war is very like dark and bleak, which it is in that movie too, with like you get a small glimpse of Howl fighting in the war, and you see it's like pitch black. You see a bunch of explosions and stuff like that, which is usual for a Miyazaki movie. But when it comes to just how the citizens are interacting and approaching this war, is like very bright, vibrant, bright colors and like happy, positive celebrations.
And it's juxtaposed with like, or bookended, let me say, where the beginning of the movie, it's like they're celebrating the war heroes, or war heroes in quotes, and it's all colorful and bright, like you said. But at the end of the movie, they're getting bombed.
Yeah,
it's that same city, that town is getting bombed, and it's, again, like you said, dark, bunch of fire, really brutal. Like, yeah, it's just an interesting like bookend.
Yeah, like it comes back around to where it's like you don't really know the horrors of war until you're in it. Mm-hmm. Like, we as American citizens don't necessarily know the horrors of war because we've never been in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've never been in a situation where like we've had to duck or cover from a bomb, or had to like hide in certain shelters, or like go certain places or evacuate certain areas because our side's fighting theirs. Like, we've never had that. And so it's easy to kind of have this really huge overarching positive patriotism towards our military going out and being bullies, essentially, when you've never experienced being the one being attacked, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, not to get super deep into the weeds, I feel like that's gonna be, that's a little tough.
It's part of the movie.
It is part of the movie. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting like take on just like the people. I will say, so transitioning now, as far as the soundtrack, so we've seen 3 movies so far. As far as the soundtrack for this one specifically,
brother,
man.
Again, Joe Hisaishi, bro, he matches the vibe every single time. Man, you know, I've seen Nazca before, and Nazca, is a sci-fi movie from the 80s, so it sounds very sci-fi fantasy 80s, a lot of synths. This movie, like I said, with the colors and everything, it feels kind of fantasy circus, and that is supported by Joe Hisaishi's soundtrack that sounds very like circusy. It kind of has like the flow like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
And then he puts his whole spin on it. He is so good. He's one of my favorites movie composers. Every single listen, Hans Zimmer, the GOAT, right? I don't have many Hans Zimmer soundtracks on my phone. I do have a lot of movie soundtracks. Obviously I have the good ones like Dune, Interstellar is fantastic, and even ones that I do like more, like Thomas Newman. I have Finding Nemo, but I don't have Scent of a Woman. Like, it's just stuff like that. Yeah. Every single Joe Hisaishi soundtrack that I hear, I'm like, I need this on my phone. He, in simpler terms, he don't miss.
No, he doesn't. And it's interesting. It's cool to see his approach to this one, or his approach to the movies in general, where like he has a titular song and uses it in very key moments. Yeah, throughout the film.
It's obviously a motif, a leitmotif.
Yes, a motif. Yes, a leitmotif with like that kind of circusy like bounce to it in certain aspects of it. But then they're played in different keys in certain situations where like to elicit a different feeling when this movie starts playing. Like, it's one thing I love when shows or just movies do that. And one of my favorite examples of this is Yu Yu Hakusho does the same thing. So we all know the classic Spirit Smile Bomb OP, right? Yes, very classic OP. The thing is, though, they play that OP in different tones, tempos, and keys to elicit different feelings. And so, like, there's a very sad version of Smile Bomb. There's a very, like, there's the original Smile Bomb, and then there's, like, the upbeat transition Smile Bomb rendition when it's, like, you know how, like, the old anime or old shows used to do, like, the preview of the next episode? Yeah. Where it's, like, next time on so-and-so, so-and-so, and it's, like, they, like, show the clips for the next episode. It's Smile Bomb plays, but it's, like, the tempo's faster, the BPM's faster, and it's just like a trumpet and some other instrumentals playing in the background. And it's like a cutesy version. Yeah. But there's also like a very sad version that's like that's played during moments of like grief or moments of like pain and stuff like that. And so I think it's cool when shows do that. And so I think with this one specifically, like that circusy type thing, like bounce when it comes to howls, like that titular song, the use of it in certain places in different keys and tempos is cool for sure. Another show that does it, and it is kind of funny out of context, but in context it always gets me. One Piece and We Are, the original opening. Obviously everyone knows the na 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 na, but then there's like, I guess, spoilers for One Piece. When they have to burn the Going Merry. Yes. And it's the soft dun, 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 with like the bells. Dun, 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 and everyone's crying, and I'm like, whoa, I'm tearing up right now. Yeah. I'm tearing up right now. So was I. God damn it, I love that show. That show's awesome. Oh my god. Oh man. I'm trying to remember, because it has been a while. I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna play it on the. It's not this one. Is it this one? No. Opening song. What this one? I forgot what this one sounds like.
It's too long to go through. Nah, whatever. Fuck it.
It's fine.
I just remember like the backing track or the rhythm is that circus bounce. Like
Yes. That's so funny. I think shows doing that is awesome. I'm thinking about that the Going Merry Leaving again, and I was like, damn, that's such a good episode. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to look at some of my old other notes, because like when I do notes now, it's not even like commentary or like analysis. It's just me like off the cuff, like random
live tweeting.
Yeah, live tweeting essentially. I think running tally of two different things. One, British voice actor.
Yes, but
the third one
kind of makes sense works. In this one.
This one works,
yes.
For sure. And whoever, I don't know who played Sophie, but she was great. She was awesome. Billy Crystal as Calcifer.
Yeah.
Calcifer, I think Calcifer is such an underrated character in this movie, for sure.
It's very funny because most people know him for Mike Wazowski, which he's very animated, quote unquote, in that movie he's very loud, he's yelling. But for other people who have seen him in When Harry Met Sally, let's say he's a little bit more restrained, he talks like a New Yorker. That's like his performance as Calcifer.
Yes.
That's like, what's with the staring? Why is she staring at me? She's making me feel weird. Like that's how he's a fire demon, but he speaks like that. It's really funny.
Right. It's very, very funny. Yeah, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Also, another running tally of Nightmare Fuel, the fucking Dementors and Top Hats. What are we doing?
I thought those were really cool.
They were cool, but I was like,
and that also adds to like this weird circusy feeling this movie.
Yes, for sure. Where like you can kind of see the horror question mark in circus acts and stuff like that. You can see the horror in it.
I'm gonna bring up a game that I haven't talked about in years, and you probably haven't heard about it in years. It kind of reminds me of Balan Wonderworld.
Oh my god!
Remember that?
Yes.
It's like this weird, like circusy Nightmare Fuel. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's what those things feel like.
Because the main character, or like the logo, like the titular character, kind of had that same.
It's like the same kind of design philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. Where like he's like dark colors underneath, like very vibrant clothing and stuff like that. Yeah, he was crazy. But I literally wrote down Dementors and Top Hats. Holy shit. I said, what did she say? These are just these. I'm basically just live tweeting in these notes. It's so funny. Yeah. So I guess like another big theme that I wrote down was like self-acceptance. But I feel like that's a big, like, encapsulates everything that we kind of, the three main ones.
Yeah.
Like beauty standards.
That would be the biggest one, where Sophie finally accepts herself as herself.
Yep.
She doesn't need to be physically beautiful to be beautiful.
Yep.
Even though she's not necessarily ugly either. But
no, she wasn't.
That's what a lot of people feel in real life. It's, they feel like they're ugly when they're not. And they have beautiful souls and all that stuff. And Howl accepts the responsibility he has as being a wizard, or of whatever the hell he is. Like, I guess that deal he made with Calcifer that we never really find out what it is.
No, not really.
But he accepts himself for what he is and what he has to do, and then
yeah. And that kind of adds to like what I was saying in the beginning, where I was just like, the movie kind of just gives you stuff and doesn't really fully go like gives a full like in-depth explanation as to what is happening or what's being said or what's being done. I think that kind of adds to the. I feel like some people will be like, well, it doesn't really help with the world building, but I feel like with the power of imagination, it helps with the world building.
Yeah.
Like, in a sense of like, what? Like, do you remember our review of Sonny Boy?
Yes.
Do you remember I said like this show leaves so much to your interpretation that I think adds to how good the world building is, because in that show, literally nothing is explained, and you're kind of in the same situation as the main characters where you're just not like the worlds don't make sense and they keep shifting and like the rules change and nothing ever aligns the way you think it does within like common sense or whatever. And so like how like I mentioned, like how the students are able to get on that school bus and go from world to world on that school bus, they don't explain how they're able to do that, but like you as the viewer can be like, oh, they must have, or Rajid, like the Indian exchange student, must have found some sort of device or created some sort of device that allows them to travel in this bus. And like it's never said, it's never stated, but I'm like, that's what I'm sticking with, and it helps with the world building.
But also, at least in this movie, the world that is shown to us is already built well, so you can see just the fact that he has a door that goes to one country and then you flip a switch and it goes to the country that other country is fighting.
Yeah.
That's already great world building.
Exactly.
He doesn't need you to say like, yes, this world is this big and here's a map and blah, 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 you know?
Right. But they don't explain how the castle keeps moving even as the thing is switching. But it's like, you can kind of boil that down to the fact that Howl is just a really good magician, a very powerful magician, a wizard rather.
Yeah.
Where like his ability to use magic allows him to have these special doors where you can have a regular one that allows him to leave like out of the actual castle itself, or the door that magically like exits you out on this in this land or whatever. And I did think it was cool when all the kingdoms found out, or try to like arrest Howl, and they go to those places and they break down the doors and there's nothing inside. I thought that was really, really cool. Really nice
it's just again, the setting and the world of this movie is probably one of my favorites. It's so cool.
For sure. So I guess, I mean, final thoughts from me and rating. I did give this movie 4 stars because I feel like I didn't think it was as good as Princess Mononoke, but I felt that it was definitely better than Castle in the Sky.
Correct. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And not to take away from Castle in the Sky, because I think that movie is very good for what it gives and what it presents. But I think for this one, since it is part of like the like you said, the big 3 of Miyazaki's movies, I feel like it definitely earned that title, I guess, or to be in that kind of realm. I do think that like what you said, that with certain things, like certain plot points and certain things brought up in the story never really getting explained or being sidetracked because of the fact that it's like, okay, the movie's, so we're 65% way through the movie, something else has to happen now. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like the plot has to happen now. The plot's got to kick in. And so like, it was just funny. I remember being like, dang, everything's happening all at one time. And it was like with 20 minutes left in the movie. Like the fire, like Howl becoming almost a full creature, them essentially time traveling to see when Calcifer and Howl make that deal when Howl's a child, and then the Witch of the Waste like almost stealing Hal's heart back again, and then the turnip head guy turning back into a human and then flying.
Oh,
like, it happens in 20. It happens like the last 15, 20 minutes.
Something I wanted to bring up that I forgot. The original book, the setting, the kingdom and the country that they live in, tropes are like, they know, the people of the story know what tropes are. So it's never really explained in the movie, but the reason why Sophie's just floating through life is because of the trope where the third and oldest sister is usually the one that will not be successful. And then it breaks this trope where she ends up with Howl and this and that and blah blah blah. So this whole joke that I thought was really funny at the end of the movie, where Turnip Head gets turned back into the prince, he literally says, the curse could be only broken by true love's kiss. And then the Witch of the Waste was like, well, it looks like your true love is in love with someone else.
Yeah.
And then the prince was like, so it goes. That's because of the original book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's
funny.
like they're breaking. It's supposed to be a trope. It's like, but they're breaking tropes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, like that, all that happens in the span of like 20 minutes. And I was like, it's like, dang, you couldn't have like had this big, story start, like space out the big climactic moments a little bit differently. But I mean, it's fine. The movie's still great.
Yeah.
With roughly 4-ish minutes left, do you have, I mean, I know I have music recommendations. I know you do, because you sent me somebody after you and Kayla and some other folks went to Remy Wolf's concert.
We saw Remy Wolf earlier this week, and her opener is this little jazz artist called Dana and Alden. I had no idea who they were. Emily's sister did. She was like, oh, the drummer, he's famous on TikTok. Great jazz music. The song I sent you, Family Garden, they played that live, and they just had everyone going, keep the family close, nah, just throughout. It was really, they're really good. I would really recommend Dana and Alden.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you're thinking of, or no, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head? Nah.
Dude, I have like a bunch, which is crazy. But like, so obviously Dana and Alden is a group that you sent me, and I definitely recommend them as well because I like their album. Coyote, You're My Star is their album. Yeah. It's really, really good. So this guy Kamari, he's an R&B artist that he's like kind of blowing up recently. And not necessarily for, well, I mean, it is for the music, because the music is good. Like he has an album that came out in 2023 called A Brief Nirvana, which is like very, very good. And he just came out with a single this year called Head in a Jar that came out a couple days ago. Very, very good. The biggest thing for him, the reason why he's blowing up, is because all of his comments he posted the music video of Head in a Jar, and then all of his comments are close enough, welcome back, Frank Ocean.
Oh yes, I saw this on Twitter.
Yeah.
And his music is good though.
It's so good.
But he does sound like Frank Ocean.
He does sound like Frank Ocean though.
It's crazy.
He really does. And it's like, I mean, I felt bad, but like, I think I saw an interview that he had recently where this girl, like Elise, she's like a big like music journalist that interviews a lot of like rappers and artists and stuff. And she asked about it, and he was like, well, of the list of things that people would know me for, I feel like that's the least of my problems. I'd rather prefer that. He was just like, but I mean, if people were to sit down and like listen to my music, they would see it's like different, even though I can,
yes,
I know what I sound like, you know what I'm saying? Basically what he said.
Yeah. It's kind of like a holy shit, it's thunder. Oh my god, it's raining. It's kind of like a Ben Beal, Mac Miller thing,
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Where it's like, yes, they do sound similar, but if you were to fucking put me in a room and not show me who you're playing, I can differentiate them.
Yeah, for real. I mean, and like the production that they rap on, and like the way in which they approach like their flow and their music and stuff like that is totally different. Like Ben Beals he raps on a lot of like lo-fi beats and like lo-fi production, like lo-fi artists, like beat makers and stuff like that. He usually tends to lean towards them. And then obviously like Mac Miller has some kind of boom bap-ish kind of production style, but he also has a very like off-kilter, like alt,
sometimes jazzy
and sometimes jazz. Like he has different waves and lanes that he was a part of. But Ben Beals specifically has a big lo-fi like genre niche, I guess. But yeah, listen to Kamari, because his album A Brief Nirvana is very good. He does really sound like Frank Ocean though. I was like, that's crazy. Who else? I think Amine, 13 Months of Sunshine. That album is going to be a banger.
Oh my god, I'm so hyped. And it's going to come out. It's going to come out at the best time, because me and my friends, we're going to do a weekend at the Keys. And all sunshine and the pool and some new Amine with the soft house tones. It's gonna sound sick.
It was funny because I said to you when he dropped that remix of the 360 by Charlie XCX. Yeah, 360 by Charlie XCX. He rapped over it, and I said, I think his next album is gonna be in this lane. And he comes up with Familiar, which is like a very like lower, like house type of like a lower tempo and like softer house song. Then he comes out with Arc de Triomphe, which is like that's a groover. That's what when you're in here doing this.
And Vacay's fucking fire too.
And Vacay's good too. So
it's very much like K-Tronada type production.
Yeah. I mean,
that kind of house, that kind of DJ set, you know?
Yes. And I feel like he's kind of found like a lane that he likes in terms of his own music. So like obviously the K-Tramine album, a little bit underwhelming than what I thought it was going to be. I did think it was a good album.
I agree.
Kind of underwhelming, but I think I did like the album in its entirety. But then this next one, 13 Months Sunshine might be like the big, like the one where he takes that house type of music and rapping over house beats into like where he actually wants to be as an artist. I think it's cool. And then lastly, Heels Have Eyes, West Side Gun. We talked about Griselda last week.
Oh yeah.
Man. I'll never get tired of them rapping about coke, man. I can't do it. I'll never get tired of them rapping about selling coke, man. I can't.
Did I ever send you the Hive Mind clip of them?
Yes.
Playing tennis with racketeers.
Yeah, it's like he just says a bunch of crazy shit, but it works every time.
I invented the question mark. If Wahlberg was president, I question mark.
You ever had chicken on a Wednesday? You ever had a burger on a Thursday? It's like, all right, man.
Ever cook half a brick in the air fryer?
Oh shit, it's so funny. But yeah, but go listen to that one. And then also the song Egypt has a clip in the beginning where Doechii is like explaining how much she likes West Side Gun's music. And so she posted a video saying how excited she was that she was on the album. And then her and West Side Gun made a remix to the she added a verse to the song Egypt.
Oof.
And that shit is crazy. She's such a good rapper, man. I can't. She's
good.
So good. She's so good.
One kind of iffy song, because it's not even that bad, does not diminish her talent.
Also, I do think people will forget that she was making like TikTok music before she really blew up, low key. Like she was popular based on like certain TikTok songs, and I feel like people don't really remember that it was Doechii that made them. And then she comes out with like she has a couple verses on some TDE songs, like she was on Isaiah Rashad's album.
Yeah, I remember.
And
that.
so then she comes out with Alligator Bites Never Heal, and that's like the big one. And then she comes out with another like pseudo TikTok-y song.
You know what's crazy?
Which
I always forget the name of this song. God, but her most famous one, where she's talking to the therapist or whatever.
Oh, Denial's a River?
Denial's a River. Good song. Kind of a TikTok song.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean... because the term TikTok song doesn't make it bad.
Right.
But, she's like talking to herself and like, okay, let's do some breathing exercises. Like, that's very much TikTok-y.
Right.
But it's good. I don't know. People complain. And the internet's stupid. And it makes me sad. So, whatever.
Oh, man. So you have anything else? Anything Howl's Moving Castle related?
Not Howl's Moving Castle, but we are taking a trip soon.
We are taking a trip soon.
We might do another vlog.
Hopefully this one doesn't get copyright claimed.
Did the last one get copyrighted?
I think a little. I think because you had a clip of like some ride, like a soundbite of some ride or something like that, and they were like they flagged it. But like it's not the one that's gonna kill our channel, but it's just like it just we might have to delete it if our channel ever gets monetized.
It's gonna be me, you, Kayla. It's gonna be the Three Musketeers and then two of our friends.
Yep.
Awesome. And it's to Disney again.
It's a Disney one more time, yes.
Yeah.
To a different spot this time. It's going to be Hollywood Studios and not Epcot.
We'll see. We'll see if we. I'm gonna probably bring my camera. Yeah.
I mean, I might bring something with me. I'm not sure. I just know that by the time this episode goes out, I will have reached out to the Goof Troop chat and like let them know what the vibes are for. How like the trip and stuff with like videoing and pictures and stuff like that. So we'll all be on the same page. The next one we are watching is gonna be Ponyo.
Yeah.
So what we have left is Ponyo, My Neighbor Totoro, The Wind Rises, Kiki's Delivery, Porco Rosso, and then Spirited Away. And then if we want to add his first one,
Lupin the Third, his Lupin movie,
or like Nautica or
Nazca.
Nazca.
Yeah, I like Nazca. It's good.
We can do that one at the end, so it won't be a 10-part. It'll be 11-part series. We'll do like a bonus episode.
It's also kind of good timing because the yearly Miyazaki Film Festival is coming to the AMC theaters. So we could at least watch a few in theaters. Yeah,
that'd be cool for sure. But yeah, so be on the lookout for those ones. It'll probably be one that comes out the next week, and then we'll take that week off for the trip, and then we'll be back at it again. So definitely missed Kayla on this podcast episode. I definitely think that we would have been screaming and hollering about Howl as a character for like a good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, like I said earlier, we'll let her get her shit off about Howl, and she can scream at us next week.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for today. I've been Nostalgia, or aka Taylor, as told by Zoe and his chopper figurine. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.